offensive, and inflammatory amounts to personal attacks or interference with the rights of other speakers is not allowed. Any person who acts in violation of these rules will be excused for the remainder of the meeting. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the Jamestown Tower Resolution, JDT-1, to enter into agreement and execute any and all documents necessary for the financing to enact the RAD conversion of Jamestown Towers. And Dina Williams will present this item.
Good afternoon. Dina Williams, Development and Modernization Coordinator. So the Housing Authority is undergoing a RAD conversion of our Jamestown Towers property, and per HUD regulation, we have to have a separate entity to be the owner of the property after RAD conversion, because the Housing Authority can no longer be the owner of the property because it's considered like double dipping. So the Housing Authority has to form a separate entity to be the owner of the property after conversion. So we created the Jamestown Towers LLC, and the owner and manager of the Jamestown Towers LLC is Jamestown Towers Manager LLC. And the owner of Jamestown Towers Manager LLC is the Affordable Housing Program, Inc., the company, not the division of the Housing Authority. So you're going to see 4 meetings today, and it's going to seem repetitive, so we beg your indulgence. But per HUD regulation, each entity has to have its own resolution to approve the financing to move forward with this conversion. So you will see the same item in all meetings because all entities have to approve the same item. So the first meeting is the Jamestown Towers LLC, and we are presenting our Jamestown Towers Resolution, JDT-1, for approval from the board for the financing for the RAD conversion of our Jamestown Towers property. So, do we have any questions?
If there are no further questions or no comments, we'll move for approval.
Move for approval.
I second that.
I'm recused.
Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have enough? Okay, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizen participation. Okay. Is there any further citizens' participation on this item? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Okay. And now I'd like to call to order the Jamestown Towers Managers LLC. We'll take a roll call, please.
President Louis Jordan.
Here.
Secretary William McCurdy. Treasurer Fred Herron.
Present.
Director Nancy Bruni. Director Carrie Cox.
Here.
Director Richard Turchio. Director Valerie Craig. Director Michael Disman. Director Tick Sagerblum. And Director LaChana Turner.
I want to say for the record, all those that are excused with permission.
Thank you. A quorum is present, and we are in compliance with the Nevada open meeting law.
Very good. Is there public comment? Hearing none, going to item 3, public hearings may be declared open by the chairman as required for any of the items on the agenda designated for discussion and possible action. Public comment that is repetitive, slanderous, offensive, and inflammatory, amounts to personal attacks, or interferes with the rights of other speakers is not allowed. Any person who acts in violation of these rules will be excused for the remainder of the meeting. And we have today approval of JDTM Resolution Number JDTM-1 to enter into an agreement and execute any and all documents necessary for financing to enact the RAD conversion. Is there a need to have further explanation on this? Okay. Is there a move to approve?
Move to second.
Okay, it's been moved.
I'm recused.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Desmond, seconded by Vice President Herron. There's an accuser from Commissioner Craig. Treasurer Hand, thank you. And a recusal by Ms. Craig. I call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have all ayes, 1 opposition. Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, we caught the recruiter, right? Yes, thank you, thank you. I'd like to now call to order the Affordable Housing Program, Inc., HP meeting. Madam Chair, Madam Clerk, take the roll call, please.
President Louis Jordan,
Present.
Secretary William McCurdy, Treasurer Fred Herron,
Present.
Director Nancy Bruni, Director Carrie Cox, Director Richard Turchio, Director Valerie Craig,
Present.
Director Michael Disman, Director Tick Sagerblum, and Director LaShawna Turner. A quorum is present, and we are in compliance with the Nevada open meeting law.
And all excused members have notified us that they would not be here today. Thank you. On this item, we're going to look for an agreement to execute any and all necessary documents for financing. But before we go there, are there any public comments? Hearing and seeing none, for discussion and possible action, public hearings may be declared open by the chairman as required for any of the items on this agenda designated for decisions and possible action. Public comment that is repetitive, slanderous, offensive, and inflammatory, amount to personal attacks, or interferes with the rights of others is not allowed. Any person who acts in violation of these rules will be excused for the remainder of the meeting. Is there a motion to approve the AHP 31?
Mr. Jordan, we have public comment.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Phyllis Carpenter, 5200 Alpine. So I just got on silverflume.com and searched what she said. She said it was Jamestown Tower LLC.Inc. They don't even have a business license. The other two do, but they don't. So I was just wondering, why is that? And then it shows Teddy Parker as the person, the legal entity, and yeah, I'm just wondering why that is. If it's a different owner, then why is Teddy Parker still the signer?
We'll address this after the meeting. If Ms. Carpenter would stay around, we'll explain it why to her. Any other public comment? Okay. Is there a motion? Motion to approve by Director Disman. Second by Director McCurdy.
And I recused.
Recusal by Director Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Let the record show we had one recusal by Commissioner Craig, or Director Craig. Any other public comment? I move that the meeting is adjourned. Okay, that's it. And then,
All right, we'll call to order the Southern Regional Housing Authority, and we'll call roll.
Chairperson William McCurdy,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Tick Sagerblum, Commissioner Nancy Bruni, Commissioner Carrie Cox, Commissioner Richard Turchio, Commissioner Valerie Craig,
Present.
Commissioner Michael Disman, Commissioner LaShawna Turner.
Present.
A quorum is present, and we are in compliance with the Nevada open meeting law.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to the first business, the first item of business, which is public comment. Anyone in the audience or on the phone would you like to come forward for public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll now move on. Oh, all right.
I'm a little confused about this.
Oh.
Is this for any of the housing, or?
This is for items that are reserved for the agenda, but there will be a second portion of citizen participation at the conclusion of our business items.
Okay,
for anything.
thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 3, and please mark Commissioner Nancy Broom present. And we'll take a motion for approval of minutes.
I so move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cox. I'll entertain a second. We have a second from Commissioner Disman. Is there any comment on this? Hearing seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes are approved. We'll now move over to item number 4, approval of the agenda with the inclusion or any emergency items and deletion of any items. I entertain a motion, or if there are any changes.
I move to move item number 10 to section 2, number 6.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment to move item number 10 to section number 2, number 6. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Dismond. Any comment on this item? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. We have everyone in support with one abstention by Commissioner Craig. Thank you. We will to now have item number 2, section 2, rather, business items, and we'll receive a report from our executive director.
Do we move that item up before my report or after my report? I think the intent was to move it up before my report.
So we'll go back to amend that motion
Yes.
to have it be read as item number 4.
I amend that motion
Okay.
to be read as item number 4.
Or right above the
Sorry.
executive director's report.
Yep, right above the executive director's report.
Okay, the motion is amended, and is there any comment on that?
I second the motion.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposition? Any abstentions? Motion is adopted.
Okay, we'd like to move the approval of the economic package for SNRHA employees. We'd like to present that now. And we're going to have Teddy Parker present that item. Is Teddy in the audience? Teddy, we're ready for you to present the economic package.
Good afternoon, board members. So hopefully each of you had a chance to review my letter from last night. And if not, then shame on you. But if you didn't, it was just an opportunity for you to preview the memorandum of understanding between SNRHA and SEIU 1107. And in fact, I spoke with you have it? Perfect. So I spoke with SEIU 1107's counsel, Mr. Evan James, and he told me that Jason would be here also, and I see him in the back, to comment on behalf of the union. After 9 or 10 months of going back and forth, arm's length negotiations with the union, we were able to come to what we believe to be a very fair agreement yesterday. And that's why you received this document yesterday. If we had it earlier, of course, we would have provided it earlier so you could have vetted it. And if you had any questions, we could have spoken before. But it was agreed to yesterday. It's my belief, having spoken to Mr. James, that the union has certainly provided this to its members, and its members have also agreed to this. I've not, of course, confirmed that. It's not my place to speak with the union members. We go through the union's council. So hopefully Mr. Jason here can speak to that. But as a highlight, I will say that this memorandum not only gave the union and its members everything the union asked for, but Mr. Jordan, in fact, added things that we thought would enhance the financial package for all SEIU members as well as all SNRHA employees. So I can't imagine, in 20 years of doing this for housing authorities, 20 years plus, I don't think I've seen a better financial package provided to any of my clients' employees. Hopefully Jason would say the same. But this came after a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of days at the Union Hall as well as many days here, going back and forth trying to find the most beneficial financial package we could present. Mr. Heron is here as well. He and his staff, they've run these numbers many times. Hopefully, this is a package that pens out for the agency in perpetuity, but I will tell you it's an aggressive, very aggressive financial package meant to help everyone be able to afford to not only work here, but to do the best they can for themselves and their families. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to address them. If there's something that goes into the minutia of numbers, then Mr. Heron probably would be the best for that. But I would also ask that Jason be allowed to confirm that his membership has agreed to this, just for the record.
If I have a question, do I ask Jason or do I ask you?
Depending on the question, and certainly the board chair can direct who he would like to respond. It doesn't matter to me.
Welcome, we're listening.
Great. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jason Klum. I'm the Director of Representation with SEIU. We did, in fact, complete the classification and compensation negotiations this week. And we come to an agreement that we believe achieves a win to promote recruitment and retention and also recognize the workers who've been here at the Housing Authority for the past several years, serving our community without receiving merit increases for several years. This agreement aligns our wage scales to match the market. It also addresses a key concern of our membership, which was the hiring of new employees into classifications at a higher pay than existing employees in that same classification. It also makes an effort to make up for the frozen merit increases, and it also allows for a higher rate upon promotion. Overall, I will say in terms of what Teddy was just mentioning, our bargaining team has approved it. We will be going out all next week, meeting with our members and so on. It's a memorandum of understanding as opposed to a new contract. I also say that I just want to really recognize the efforts of the Housing Authority, our bargaining team, and our members who use this negotiation to fix really systemic issues that were harming employees, especially around morale and retention. These new wage adjustments are a step in the right direction, and they really move us forward in recognizing the hard work of our members. And just to say where we were at several months ago and to where we come today, it just shows that when we're able to come together and really work on the issues, that we can come to an agreement that's a win-win for everyone. And so I hope that you'll approve this agreement.
Thank you, Jason. Mr. Jordan?
I just wanted to also add my thank you to Jason and the negotiation team, as well as our negotiation team. I talk a lot about customer service and treating people with dignity and respect, and it needs to be known that starts with the people who work here. We want to make sure that we have an enthusiastic, customer-focused workforce. And in doing that, I strongly feel that we have to compensate them properly. As Jason mentioned, a lot of what came out of this MOU was correcting things from the past. And I would hope that this is deemed a new day stepping forward, where we value each other, which positions us to provide that level of service that we often talk to about as we provide our customers and we work with our partners. So I'm very pleased at the progress we made and the willingness for both sides to say, what can we do to come together? Unfortunately, we can't raise taxes and do things like that. We have to work within our means. And we'll continue to do that. And we'll also continue to look for additional funding streams so that we can, again, approach the workforce in an amenable way around compensation. And as Jason mentioned, make sure that people feel good about coming in here every day, because in my mind, their most important task is to take care of those we serve. Thank you.
Commissioner Cox?
Jason, can I ask you a quick question? I'm sorry to make you come back up. It's just important to me to know that your members, at least the majority, are happy with the results of your negotiations for SEIU Local 1107, because sometimes rank and file, so to speak, or those that are on the ground aren't always in connection or harmony with what's being done for them. And so have you found, because I don't see your union members here today in their beautiful purple shirts, but I do want to make sure that the majority of your members are satisfied that this is what they need and that they're good with what has happened?
So, because we just came to the deal basically yesterday, our bargaining team has fully approved it. It represents an average of a 7% increase for our members, and that average means that, and it's higher for those folks that have been here longer. And I think that is something that our members have been asking for.
Sure.
Obviously, next week, our plan is to be out in all the work sites, educating folks and letting them know. The hard part about this is that it's not like in a contract negotiation where you negotiate a 3 or 4% cost of living adjustment and everyone's getting 3%, right? This is actually very individualized because it's based on who was hired after you, what your current step is. And so every single individual is getting a different amount. And so we want to spend the time showing them what that's going to look like, and also, reflecting on the wins that we had. So that's where we're at.
Okay, awesome. And Mr. Jordan, is this a win-win? Because that's what I go for, a win-win.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And in saying that, it's also a very strong retention tool. We've seen, particularly post-pandemic, we've lost people, as we come back into the heavy recruitment world, because of some of those things Jason spoke of. We had people who would leave for more money. There are factors in this process that if you were promoted, it really wasn't worth your while based on the contract. You didn't get as much as a person walking in out from outside would get, and then I would task that person to train that person. So those are the kinds of things that we just took a look at, and I'm sure at the time they were decided, there was reason for it. But right now, particularly as a retention strategy, this is I would say a win-win. And we're very pleased that it ended up this way.
And I'd like to just add one more thing. I do want to say Dina is here and Virginia from our bargaining team. Our other members of our team would love to be here, but we are doing our big lobby day up in Carson City, and so a number of our folks are up there.
Oh, and
Otherwise,
that's
they would be
fine.
here.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure, and just
Yeah.
thank you to everyone for your hard work, because I know that negotiations aren't easy. So thank you, everyone that helped on that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you so much. And it's also Commissioner Brune.
Thank you. I have two questions. The first is, can you explain the difference procedurally between the MOU and the contracts? Will this come back once you shop it with your members in the form of a contract, or will it just be an MOU? So just have some clarification around that.
It's just an MOU.
It'll just always be just an MOU?
Yeah, just attaches to the back of the contract.
Okay. Okay. And then, I don't know if this is a discussion for another time, but totally support investing in our people. So great. I'm glad to hear that it's a win-win. Can we talk about, or is it appropriate here to talk about just, the financial implications? Because there are always trade-offs. So what will we have to forego renovations to buildings, or was this budgeted? We'd just love to know, please.
I'm Fred Herron, Director, Chief Administrative Officer of the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. There, as you very much aware, and you spoke on it yourself, there are some trade-offs in terms of trying to come to this proposal that we presented to the board for their approval. As you may have known, we had a number of vacant positions over the past year in excess of about 30 positions throughout our agency. One of the ways we were able to meet this proposal is by agreeing with our directors in different departments to eliminate a few, not eliminate, but not fill a few of the positions in some of the specific programs to help us get down to that number, so we could be able to afford this particular proposal. I think in the maintenance area is about 3 positions. In the Section 8 department, it was 3 positions as well. In the central office call center, it was about 3 positions. In affordable housing, about 2 positions. Which we wouldn't that we wouldn't able to that we wouldn't backfill based on our current budget. Next year, moving forward, if we get some additional monies or resources, those, we could take a look at bringing those positions back. But and even to this date, in my mind, we've a number of those positions, particularly as we're going on in terms of trying to identify ways to fill those positions. It's been really difficult to fill those positions, particularly in our maintenance staff. So I think staff and each director of each department agreed that that it's best to try to see what we could do to try to complete this proposal, and we were all in agreement.
And I would like to also add, Commissioner, that we also feel that our ongoing investment in technology will help to level set, some of that lost human manpower. And I want to be very clear, as we move forward with technology, it means we can free up people to do other things, not just let people go. But in this deficit, we're thinking leveraging technology will also support us there.
Commissioner Craig.
I was very happy to see that you said technology, because I know that problems involving the call center, technology, and I really feel on the inside that technology is really going to take care of that. And I'm just wondering, now maintenance, I know oftentimes that you all have maintenance individuals, so how is technology going to take care of the people that do the physical work?
Well, I think there's a combination of things, in addition to repairing a toilet or fixing a sink, there's a paperwork component that comes with it that can be timely. How we dispatch our workers, the sitting down and calling and saying, go here versus hitting a button and things. So there's a number of ways that we'll look at leveraging technology, even to the extent that how our systems work. That'll also, when I say that, getting more energy efficient appliances and putting in systems that will really support the moving things up to the 21st century.
I know you're not Jesus, I know you're not God, because if it was, I'd be in heaven. However, I'm just joking. But my point is, any way you can prognosticate, maybe we'll be able to see that, like maybe within a year?
Well, I think we're seeing it now. For those of you who've been on the board, there are things that we're doing with our phone system. There are things that we're doing with our internet. There's a number of things that we're doing to move closer. As a resident, Rent Cafe, things that you're doing online that 5-6 years ago you were not. And all of those things help us move people to other things that we like to really improve our service delivery on.
One other, this over here.
Okay,
one other, just to add to become Director Jordan, one other item that we're doing is as relates to our ACV department. We are trying to implement virtual inspections, where the inspector doesn't have to go out to the unit to look at the unit to have a unit approved, and they can just sit in the office and use their phone and work with the landlord to go around and visualize some of the issues as pertaining to the department.
As well as scanning and going paperless, yeah.
All right, one more. That's great. But my other question is, when you talk about inspections, and oftentimes maybe the HUD inspections, I'm just thinking out of the box.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Shut up. Let me stop this.
Are there any further questions? Truly is good to see that both parties came to an agreement. It's very rare that you hear the enthusiasm that we just heard from Jason here today. Really happy for you and all the employees here at SNRHA. We know that when our employees do good, our communities do good. And with that being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Second motion.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Dismond, a second from Commissioner Craig. Is there any additional comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Motion is adopted. We'll now continue on with the Executive Director's report, and it looks like we're going to hear from our technology.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Patterson is going to come up and and give the board just an update on our customer service survey that we're preparing for and the steps we're taking towards that.
Hello, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here again. I'm happy to report that our customer service satisfaction survey is about to be put into motion. We were on site today and yesterday and Tuesday to take video that will be an introduction to that video. It's going to be administered both by email and by text message and by QR codes at different sites. We're also preliminarily getting ready for the landlord survey and also other surveys that will come up after that. It's very simple to begin with. We want everybody to have confidence that what they're stating, one, will be heard and responded to, but we see also other surveys in the future, and we want to confirm the ways that are best to communicate with them. We believe that that's going to be text messaging because it allows for faster response. We anticipate that survey going out no later than early May, and that the responses should be back by the end of May, towards the first part of June. And then after that, we'll be modifying the survey based on the results to see what's the best channels for issuing those surveys. It's very simple. You are either happy, very happy, unhappy, or very unhappy. And we have the smiley faces on there, and we found that it helps people to just tap the button and they can see what they are, because everything else really doesn't matter. Some of the other technology improvements you've already listened to. Ring Central, our new phone system, is coming online. That's going to handle both the call center, let us know how long it's taking us to respond to people, have automatic responses to those who hang up. We want to know why they hung up, and call back on. We see that going live early part of June, along with a full phone system replacement at the Housing Authority. And DocuWare training has been initiated and initial training completed for 50 staff members in the Housing Choice Voucher Group, and we'll be training another 40 for public housing and affordable next week. And they've already started scanning into the system, so that document management system is underway and going. And then also affordable housing is on Rent Cafe, so that the online certifications and parts of the paperless that Mr. Jordan spoke to is beginning to happen. And so you'll see it migrating and accelerating once we get our high-speed internet. So that's it.
Commissioner Craig.
I have two questions. I am so excited. Oh, my goodness. I just got to calm down. My only question is, you're going to do email and text. And because I happen to be under 16, I just look like I'm older. My question and my concern is about those individuals who are not able to, use email and don't text. And then they have even those who may have arthritis and other problems. And then I'm thinking, how are we going, individuals like that going to be affected?
Forgive me for not mentioning, we will have paper-based inspections also permissible, and we'll also have those who can't do that, if they want to come to the lobby, a way for them to submit their survey results to.
Come to the lobby.
Craig, will you speak to how we're going to notify everybody about the survey?
Yes.
Through the video messaging we're doing?
Yes. So we'll have an initial video message at the beginning of the survey that will go out through the link. They'll see a video of Mr. Jordan inviting them, requesting them to participate in the survey. It lasts about 30 to 45 seconds as an introduction that we need their assistance. We're appealing to them for help. Then after that, the survey will begin. The survey on average takes about 30 seconds from what our initial tests are. 4 to 5 questions, and it's just to get them introduced. It's good to know, though, too, that all of our residents have access, and we have their information and text messages from Yardy's Rent Cafe system. And so we're going to be receiving those from IT, and every time they come into the office, they've updated their cell phone numbers, so we know that most of those numbers should be accurate. For the ones that are not, we'll be using email. Normally, we get 60% participation from email after a week or two, and three notifications. Usually with text messaging, we get about 85% participation. And then for those that don't have access to technology, that's usually going to be about 8 to 15%, which would have go to the office for a paper-based inspection.
And we'll
survey.
We'll train the managers. This introduction piece we talked about. For those who may not be as internet savvy or willing, that paper will be available in the manager's office in each building. The survey will be.
You're talking about training managers, and I just want to say my experience, speaking with a lot of residents. Sometimes the managers are not available, and so how can we ensure that the managers would be willing, because everybody doesn't have talent to teach. I don't care what you say. My question is, what about those managers that don't have the ability to teach?
If I can speak to that? Yeah. Okay, one of the ways that we have, to be frank, going to your manager to let them know you want to give a survey on their service is not always the best approach. And so part of our communication will have a phone number where they can call into the phone number and press prompts. We tested it with the staff, and they can have 1 for unhappy, 4 for very happy, and they can do it that way also. So there will be both telephone, text message, and email, and then the managers can be a final fallback, but we don't see that as, it's never been a big participation point from the manager's point of view. It's always been like 1% when it comes to inhuman, in-person surveys. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Hearing seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
A couple other things I wanted to mention during my report. As we talked about over the last few months, we opened up our Section 8 wait list. We ended up with 27,000 applicants. We'll do a lottery and put 10,000 of those on the list. I also mentioned that we added 2 questions to that application process. One says, would you be interested in a job here at the Housing Authority, and or would you be interested in training and development opportunities? And between those 2 questions, 19,000 people answered yes. So we'll work with our HR department as well as our partners to see how we can disseminate that, yes, I am interested, out to the to work with our partners to see if we can, I like to say, take a holistic approach to the housing process. And so with that being said, I want to take a moment to introduce Teresa Waters. Let's have her stand up. Teresa is our new Director of Human Resources. And she'll help support, along with our Resident Services and Lee Quick's team. We'll work together to sort that information out. Wanted to mention that by our next board meeting, we should have a new commissioner seated, and that's a resident commissioner from the Henderson area. By May 18th, that commissioner will have gone through the confirmation process with the city and will be joining you all. And we're looking maybe sometimes June, and Jessica will contact you for a hold the date. We're going to do new commissioner training and all commissioner training. You know, there's a series of things that we want to keep you abreast of. And so we've waited to get that last person seated so that we can do it in a manner that you can all take advantage of.
Can I ask a quick question?
Uh-huh.
So what is the process for, has that already been going? Is this,
Yes.
So they have to be living in a location?
They have
that
to
is-
be receiving the subsidy, living in the jurisdiction. In fact, am I doing okay with that? Yeah, Lee Quick can give the detailed details.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. This is exciting for me.
It is, thank you.
Henderson, yay.
Good afternoon, Lee Quick, Supportive Services Manager, Housing Authority. So what happens is we go through all of the directors to see who lives in Henderson, first of all. We send all of those people who are compliant with their leases and all of that. We send them an invitation to apply. Some people they send in their application, and then we kind of cull through that. We don't determine who's compliant and who's not. We leave that up to the leasing departments, and then we invite them in for an orientation, just to kind of tell them, make sure that they know what the process is like to be a commissioner. And then we also, this time, Director Jordan had us, which was a great idea, bring Sharon Davis, the previous commissioner, in just to talk to some of those folks and give them a better view of what that looks like. And then we just kind of, the RAD board, which is the Resident Advisory Board, then interviews the final candidates. And then it just kind of gets smaller and smaller. Some people opt out, et cetera. And then there's like a ranking system. Again, it's really an interview, so there's a ranking system, and then we send that information over to the clerk's office at Henderson, and then it goes to the mayor. The mayor is now putting it on your May 2nd council meeting, so you'll hear more about it then. And then once you select the person, we give you the ranking, and then of course you can choose from there. And then they send the information back to us from that clerk's office as to yes, this person made it through the city council, and then we seat them.
So the city council makes the final decision?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Lee. And then the final item on my my report today, Mr. Chair, is that under the category of collaboration and partnership, for the first time, senior leadership team and I are going to go to Affordable Housing Day up in Carson City and meet with our state legislators. This year, again, for the first time, we have a lobbyist who works with us. We've been tracking bills and putting our say in on things that, in a nutshell, things that will help us support the notion of affordable housing. And the team and I are going to go up to Carson City on May 1st, which is Affordable Housing Day, and we're going to spend the day up there. One of the unique things I've come to find out about working here in Nevada is the close accessibility to all of our elected officials. But we're going to officially go in as a Housing Authority delegation. We're also doing for the first time, we're having caucus and just meetings with the Reno Housing Authority, the Rural Housing Authority, just again to create what I like to call the strategic alignment around providing and keeping affordable housing in our state, specifically in our southern region. So that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to item number 6, section 3, which is the approval of our consent agenda, which is to write off the outstanding tenant accounts. Our Commissioner Broome.
I have a question. Is that okay, Chair?
Sure.
Okay. I have a question. I noticed that we're asking, or it's being asked to write off the amount of $107,000 this time, or this month as of February 2023 rental income. And in last month, we were asked to write off $56,000. So is there sort of I know there's a variation, but is there, are you anticipating that figure will increase every month, or is it sort of cyclical, and after the holidays you may see an increase in the amount of rental income that we're being asked to write off?
Fred Herron, Chief Administrative Officer of Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. It's very cyclical. We can't determine when it's going to be from month to month. It depends on what the condition of units. Unity is when residents vacate it. Sometimes you may incur more damage to the units, which would drive up the cost of the write-off, but it varies from month to month.
Commissioner Cox.
Also, when it goes over to collections, do we get a percentage back on that?
Yes, we receive 90% of it, and collectors to keep 10% of it.
If they can collect?
If they can collect, yeah.
Thank you.
And clearly that goes on the credit report, and it follows them. All right. I entertain a motion. Approve consent agenda item number 6.
I will make
We have
I will make a
first
motion
by
to
Commissioner Broome and second by Commissioner Cox. Is there any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, we will take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposition? Motion is adopted. We'll now move on to item number 7, the acknowledgement of our departed from our Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we last gathered, we've lost the following residents: Natalie Biggs, Lester Bradford, Willie Daniels, Deborah Dorsey, Carl Greenwood, Kenneth Reiderhahn, Clifford Loud, Michael Randolph, Jesus Torado, Paula Trejo, Ronica White, and I just wanted us to keep in our thoughts a long-term resident, Vanessa Hamlin, lost her son since we last met, and Sandra Meeks, who's a officer with our Marble Manor Resident Council, lost her granddaughter since we meet. So if we could just, since we last met, excuse me, so we have a moment of silence for the departed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. I also want to thank your entire staff for how Ms. Vanessa was handled with her issue within her apartment. Right after she found out her son had passed, she went home and she had a leak in her home, and she was planning all of his arrangements. And I just want to thank you and the entire team for how that was handled.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to item number 8, approval of the resolution SNRHA 119 to enter into an agreement to execute all documents necessary to obtain financing for the RAD conversion of Jamestown Towers, which we just heard.
Yes, this is akin to the motions we heard for the other 3 meetings.
Can we take 8 and 9 together, since they're essentially the same, or do they have to be taken in separate motions? All right, we'll entertain a motion for item number 8.
I so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cox,
I will,
a second by Commissioner Churchio. Any discussion on these items? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
I recuse myself.
Any abstentions? And we have 1 abstention. All right, motion is adopted. Move on to item number 9, approving a resolution of SNRHA 120 to enter into a subaward agreement with the City of North Las Vegas for the rehabilitation of 2825 Civic Center Drive and 2904 East Basewood Avenue.
Dina Williams will present this item.
Good afternoon. Dina Williams, Development and Modernization Coordinator. So your resolution, SNRHA-120, is an agreement between the Housing Authority and the City of North Las Vegas for the Housing Authority to receive funds for the rehabilitation and revitalization of 2 properties that have been offline since the formation of the Housing Authority. For those who don't know, the Housing Authority used to be 3 separate housing authorities, being the Clark County Housing Authority, the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority, and the City of North Las Vegas Housing Authority. Now, these 2 properties belong to the City of North Las Vegas Housing Authority, and they had experienced extensive damage and have been offline since the formation of the SNRHA, which is January 1, 2010. There was discussion to have these 2 properties basically just demolished because they experienced so much damage, but in an effort to retain affordable housing for Las Vegas Valley residents, it was decided to investigate other avenues so that we can receive the funds to revitalize these 2 properties. And so the City of North Las Vegas has funds available that the Housing Authority has procured, and by resolution of SNRHA 120, the Housing Authority will receive those funds actually as a reimbursement. So the Housing Authority will first have to expend the funds to do the renovation for these 2 properties, and then after completion of both projects, we will go back to the city and be reimbursed 100% for the funds that we had to expend to revitalize these properties. So basically, at the end of the day, we get 2 houses for free. Win-win. It's a win-win. So we need a resolution and board approval so that we can move forward with this MOU with the City of North Las Vegas, so that we can basically have those funds reimbursed to the Housing Authority for the revitalization of these 2 properties.
And if I can just add something to Dina said, from the financial strategy perspective, these are 2 new homes we'll put back on the market, and then we'll use our Section 8 overlay ability. So as owner, we'll rent those units to a Section 8 voucher holder. That person will still, or those persons will still only pay 30% of their rent. And through the voucher program, we'll make up the rest of it. So it's a really good strategy around the preservation effort of keeping affordable housing.
Commissioner Churchill and then Commissioner Brown.
Yes, just let me say, I'm very excited to hear this, being from North Las Vegas. We're good partners, and let me just, give me the privilege to say something here besides this. Normally, somebody who is at their second meeting and comes in late would normally be fired, okay? But today was a very exceptional morning, so let me apologize. I take whatever I do very serious, and we all, as electeds, serve on different boards. But I must tell you that this is a privilege to me to be here where I know that I could be a participant in doing good for people over here and the quality of their life. So I just wanted to say I apologize for coming in late, and also I appreciate being on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'll go ahead and make a motion at the appropriate time.
Yes, and we have, I believe, 2 comments. Yes, Commissioner Bruni and Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Chair. I have not driven by the location, so I don't know how big the acreage is, but did you look at turning or putting multifamily or like townhomes on the sites as opposed to just building a standalone single home, just to have like more families be able to stay in the that location?
Both properties are already standing, so they're not being demolished, they're just being rehabbed. So that was not a discussion. The discussion was basically just to save the structures that exist already as they are, revitalize them, put them back online so that we can house 2 more families in the city of North Las Vegas.
I just wanted to add to Commissioner Bruni's point, a part of our long-term strategy is to look to see where we can replace, maximize space on any of our properties. As Dina mentioned, for the lack of a better term, these were 2 pretty bad eyesores sitting in the community. We were about to tear them down, and we talked about the cost, or in fact, I think we were about to sell them. That's what it was. We were going to sell them. And we said, look, it's not a good time to give away any land or any housing. And partnering with the folks in North Las Vegas, we found a way to totally rehab them, put them back on the rolls, and then we can use our Section 8 voucher to keep the price down. Yeah.
Do you have an estimated timeline when these will come back online?
We are shooting for the end of the year with about a 90-day turnaround for the construction and rehab.
So by the end of this
year?
Awesome, thank you.
Pleasure.
Commissioner Craig.
I just want to say, when I read this, I was so excited and so happy that you all made this decision. I was glad to read it.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing, to Commissioner Burns' point, the Housing Authority does have a developers conference that's coming up soon so that we could basically try and garner more partnerships with developers in town, out of state, so that we can develop some housing on property that the Housing Authority owns that is vacant all across the valley, and so that we are looking in avenues of increasing our housing stock instead of just revitalizing what's existing. We're looking to add more.
And we have, 3 municipalities on the board, 4. And I think, as much as we can, when we get, those properties that are, becoming tax delinquent as well, it will be a great partnership, and I'm excited for future conversations with that. Are there any future conversations? None? All right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Churchill. We have a second by Commissioner Cox. Any comment? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? Motion is unanimously adopted. Item number 10 was moved up. That was the approval of the economic package for SNRHA employees. And we'll now go on to item number 11. Approve of the standard operating procedures that delineate allocation methodology used to charge out frontline and fee-for-service costs. Mr. Herring.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Fred Herring, Chief Administrative Officer. During the review by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it was recommended that we take our standard operating procedures and update it, which to include how we allocate legal costs as well as our insurance costs. This document is probably about 7 years old that's been in effect. and we're asking the board to approve it based on recommendation from HUD.
All right, any questions from members of the board? Hearing seeing none, move to a vote. If there is no conversation, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Anyone opposed? Motion is unanimously adopted. We'll now move on to the final section of our agenda, which are comments made by the public. Sir, this is where you can come forward at this point. Oh, new business. Moving too fast. New business. Is there any conversation from members of the board, anything you would like to see? No? Okay. We'll now move on to the last portion of our agenda. And sir, this is your time. And anyone who comes up during this portion, you will have 3 minutes. Please state your name clearly for the record. And welcome.
I'm sorry. Hello, my name is Donna Vettrell. I'm a resident of Schaefer Heights Senior Community. And I'm up here for a couple of things that I'd like to call your attention to and see if we can't get something done about it. Number one, we have a high rate of break-ins and thefts. And Bill, who will talk about that, I'm talking about the 2 times my apartment was robbed within a week. I was out of state. My son had to come and take over, and Bill helped him also, and calling the police and everything, but 2 times, and they took everything. So we just don't have security. Now, we have a security company, and they say they do all these things. We never see them. So if all these things are being, we're losing, and people are losing all kinds of other things, where is our security system, and why don't they show up more? We need it mainly from about 11 at night till about 5 and 6 in the morning. They hit my apartment about 4. And what they do is how they got in is we have a fence to the back of our property. And the fence is higher on one end, but as it gets closer to the storage units in back of our complex, it drops down. So you got about a 4.5-foot fence there. Now, they could come right over that, which is how they got to my apartment. We're requesting that you elevate that fence to the point where it's high enough all the way to meet the fence from the storage unit to where they can't get through there. But I mean, they were over and back and everything over there, and they do it every day. So we need to get that thing built up, and we need to get a better security company to go in there, and even if you have to pay more, do it, because we're losing everything. You can't keep anything on your porch. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. We live in and it's a nice complex. It's not a bad looking, it's a very lovely complex, but we can't afford to have this done to all the people that are residents there. They're taking all kinds of things, but I have my son who knows more about what happened with it, and he can tell you what they did and everything, but I mean, we need some help over there. It's just sad, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're going to have a conversation with our executive director after the meeting.
Oh, I would appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And he'll tell you about what we went through with how the police.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome.
Hi, my name's Ed Peruzzi. I'm Donna's son. While she was gone, she mentioned that her apartment was broken into. It was broken into twice in 7 days. When I contacted the security firm, they said that they're there at night. They walk the facility. And I can actually prove that's not accurate, because after the second time, I put cameras up. There's nobody that comes by there except for homeless people, somebody cutting through, jumping the fence. The second time, well, the first time that the apartment was broken into, maintenance put up some material that was over the window, that was thin enough to where I could take a screwdriver and poke a hole in it. So I had to go buy plywood and put it up there. The window was not replaced for a minimum of 5 days during the heat of the summer. So the apartment was ungodly hot. They broke into the front window by using a pry bar, got through the security bars, pried the window open, slid it up, stole more stuff. The neighbor at that point got into a fight with one of the people. That's how we found out they were jumping the fence. So I've got pictures, if you want to see them, of the fence and other pictures if you decide to take a look at that. But security is not existent. So it was pretty bad. She lost over $20,000 worth of stuff. And the insurances have covered it. So, excuse me. So just wanted to let you know.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward? Welcome. Please state your name for the record.
William Haskell. I've been Schaefer Heights. I've been there about 16 years. There's so much vandalism with the vehicles. One girl had a car broken 4 times. They messed up the ignition. She has to get a whole new column. One lady had her tires cut twice. Another lady, they messed her vehicle up so bad, she had to junk it. Vandalism. And I watch it. I'm up all the time. Sometimes I'm up 1, 2 in the morning. I'll sit on the patio. I ain't never seen security there. They come in the daytime at 11 in the morning, take pictures, and that's it. You don't see them. Now, some places have these poles where they have a thing and they prove they were there. They need some security. If they're getting paid $10 a week, they're overpaid. They're useless. Yeah, that's all you gotta say.
Thank you.
Phyllis Carpenter, 5200 Alpine, number 5. I'd just like to say that, so I tried to get an appointment with Mr. Jordan, or Mr. Jordan, as well as Ava. I don't want to meet with Ava anymore. She's the person that is lying to you about the situation. And you said that you would meet, somebody will get with you after the meeting. Nobody ever does. You send me right back to Ava, the one that's lying to you. Something needs to be done about that. I also am going to request again, for I don't know how many times now, I want the bylaws for SNRHA as well as SNVRHA.org and the Affordable Housing Program, Inc. Also. And Ava sent us a letter for 30-day public comment about something about privacy, private property, being able to post people's pictures or something in the offices. And they're trying to say that it's private property, but if the federal government is paying the bills there, it's not private property. So I don't even understand that. And yeah, it's just sad the way that you want to talk about customer service. They are so rude at any time I go to the window. They are so rude. It's frustrating as heck to me. And you guys are our elected officials. You guys are the ones that's supposed to represent us. And every time I come here, no, you always say somebody will get with you after the meeting, but nobody ever does. And he refuses to have a meeting with me. So how is he supposed to know how his employees are treating people if he won't even have a meeting with us? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name's Guy Arbsnott. I live at the Sartini Plaza, 900 Brush Street. I'm in apartment number 353. I'm here to humbly ask all of you to get involved in what's going on personally with me. I believe I'm going to be railroaded into an eviction on Monday. First of all, I've been there about a year. I still do not have a copy of my lease. I've asked Nikki Scott for it in writing. I've asked her for a copy of it verbally. As of last night, I still do not have a copy. There's also black mold problem in my apartment that they refuse to address. They've known about it for at least 6 months. It's affecting my health now. 4 weeks ago, I started getting bitten all over my body. And I'll show you just some of it. I promise I'll keep my pants on. But see all these? These are all bed bug bites. They are all over my body, everywhere. I went to the doctor again earlier this week. We counted over 100 of them. 47 of them are actively weeping and infected. I'm on my second round of antibiotics. They're scared I may go septic and die of septicemia if I don't get to the hospital in time, okay? They sent a bed bug inspector up to my apartment. He found bed bugs. He actually showed them to me. He goes, here, these are bed bugs. I looked at them, confirmed, yeah, those are bed bugs. For some reason, he reported that my apartment had no bed bugs. Once I found that out, I was infuriated. Now, out of sheer frustration, I caught a couple little buggers, sealed them between two pieces of tape, hung a note on the office window, because every time I go down there, either nobody's there or it's closed. So I taped it to the front of the window so I'd get it immediately the next day. Shortly after that, one of the maintenance men came over. His name is Jesse. He ripped down my sign. I tried to get it back from him. I asked for it, said, please give it back to me. He refused. I said, please give it back. I tried to physically grab it from him. He spun around, body blocked me, and from there on out, we both started acting like idiots, like two schoolboy kids out cussing each other on the schoolyard. Now, once I realized, hey man, this situation is way out of hand, it's escalating way too fast, I backed off, threw my hands up. The police were involved. I filed charges against Jesse. Now, I found this on my door yesterday morning. They want to hold a meeting with me on Monday. I assume they're going to try to evict me. What a crock of you-know-what this is. First of all, 48 hours is not enough time for me to sequester witnesses, much less regain counsel. How in the world am I supposed to have a fair hearing on Monday morning or Monday afternoon when I don't even have legal representation at this time? This is why I'm going to ask you to personally get involved with this. I do not wish to press charges against Jesse. I spoke with the man yesterday. Both of us agreed, while shaking hands, we acted poorly. Both of us were sorry about the situation. Later on that day, he was standing in front of Nikki Scott. I'll finish it up real quick. And I went up to him and shook his hand again in front of the manager, saying, hey, thank you, Jesse. I'm glad we could work this out. Glad there's no beef. But now I'm worried I'm going to get evicted over this on Monday. I didn't initiate the violence. Jesse did. That's why I called 911. I wish this to be in the past. I was approved to move back in January. I don't know why it's taking Nikki so long or whoever's responsible for this. I was approved to move back in January, yet I'm still there. I would like to meet with all of you after the meeting. I do not wish to lose my Section 8 status over this incident. Again, I'm not proud of what I did. Jesse is not proud of what he did. We are at peace with each other. I shook the man's hand twice yesterday. On two separate occasions, we both agreed there is no problem between us and that situation it got out of hand way too fast. Again, thank you for letting me speak here today. I would like to meet with all of you. I really don't want to get kicked out of the program. I just want to get the hell out. Oh, sorry. I'm going to get the heck out of that building. It's just not good. And if you want more pictures after the meeting, I'll take my shirt off. You'll see I'm covered. I'm covered. Please help me. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come forward during the second portion of public comment? Hearing and seeing none, I know that there are some items that the members want to discuss, so we're going to go back to new business briefly, and we'll adjourn. Commissioner Bruni?
Yes, thank you. Can we go back to new business items? I think based on some of the conversation or the input, I'd love to have a presentation on our security system, who we're contracted with, when the contract ends, et cetera, please, and what sort of reporting they're required to do for the next meeting.
I was just going to add, Commissioner, we have a meeting planned already with the security, PFI security, and we'll bring back a full report and risk assessment on each one of our properties. The security issue was brought to my attention yesterday at Schaefer Heights, and we contacted them, and I'd rather us give you a full assessment on what's happening at every property, how many calls they get, what their work schedules are, so we have that planned already.
And then could you also add, Mr. Jordan, I don't know if this is part of your assessment, but what security features currently are in place at each property? Like if
cameras
they have
and things. Yes,
cameras?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
We can add that to the assessment, yes.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cox?
Also, on the security issue, I'd like to know, I'd like to see some accountability from our security company, okay? So it can't just be, hey, this is what we're doing. So I'd like to direct you to however you want to do that, and if not, I have some ideas. But I'd like to understand if we have security walking around or somewhere in the vicinity of our locations, then what proves they're there? So I'd like some accountability on their part, okay? Also, I need to ask, who are handling our contracts in a situation where a contract's requested by a resident? Who's doing that?
I'm not understanding the question. When you say handling contracts, what exactly are you asking me?
Well, for instance, we had someone talk about just now that he asked for his copy of his contract. So who
The
handles?
lease, okay.
Okay, lease.
That's at the property level. So when we bring people in, we give them leases, and if there's a request for a copy of that lease, the tenant was correct, it goes directly to the property manager, and we'll follow up on what happened there. And I also wanted to make mention that the last gentleman who spoke, I'm also very, very aware of what went on in that incident. And it's not appropriate, nor do we have the time to play it all out right now. And so, but we are aware of it, and we'll address it in the part of your report that you get.
I'd also like police reports included. And
well,
if you could.
we'll provide whatever came out.
Okay.
So in your
Well,
next report, everything that we have or can and did get, if in fact a police report is there, we'll provide all that. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
We'll provide that.
And then if I could just have a private briefing with you, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have the police report here.
So this portion is just for members of the board. Thank you so much. And I believe we have one last comment, and then we'll adjourn.
I'm sorry, I like to see the policy regarding maintenance going in various individuals' places. I've heard quite a bit of disquietude regarding that too. And the other thing is disaster planning. And when I say disaster planning, like if a resident has maybe a fire or something, what is the policy related to fire or floods?
So two things. The policy on units or individuals, employees going into units. I think the policy gives the tenant the opportunity to say, I want you, or I don't want you in when I'm not there, or I do, or it's okay. So we can provide that information. Also, we're in the process of developing a disaster preparedness plan, one that will allow us to, prior to any disaster, go through the building, ask tenants who needs help, who doesn't need help. I think I asked staff to have me that by the end of the second quarter this year. And I know for a fact we're working on it. We've collaborated with our local fire department. We have examples of said reports from other housing authorities. We're looking at investing in equipment like ergonomic chairs that can help us bring people downstairs. So we're, again, by the end of the second quarter, staff is going to report out to me on this. And then we'll bring that back to the board.
All right, thank you so much. Seeing no one else, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.